Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Robinson again, and we're going to continue our studies. I started off a lesson previously with this balloon game where we were looking at which is this amount closer to, A or B, and I want to continue that because we were talking about rounding off, and this time we're rounding off to the nearest hundredth. So you might have saw my video on rounding off to the nearest 10. This is just a continuation of that series. So we're rounding off to the nearest hundredth. So I mentioned rounding off means making a number simpler, but keeping its value close to what it was, because that way we can use it and recognize it a lot easier. It's going to be less accurate. That's because it's a different number, but it's going to be easier to use when you're rounding. For example, we have 73 rounded to the nearest 10 is 70, because 73 is closer to 70 than it is to 80. If you do some subtraction, 73 minus 70 is 3, and that's 3 points away from 70. And 80 minus 70 is 10, and that's 10 points away from 70. So, uh, I'm sorry, 73 minus uh, 80 is 7, so that's 7 points away from 73. So 73 is closer to 70 because that's 3 points away, whereas closer to 80 would be 7 points away. So we're using easier numbers. Okay? I mentioned the place value chart. We talked about that last time, how it's important to memorize it. And let me just get a little tool here to show you. We're reading it this way, where our smallest digits are the ones, and notice the value underneath it, 10, hundreds, it's being multiplied. Each digit is adding on a zero and multiplying by 10. So then we went to the thousands, and then 10,000, then 100,000, and then we went up to millions, and then 10 millions, 100 million. So it keeps going that way to the left. It gets larger. But we are talking about the decimal place value chart. And that's where we're having our difficulty, and we wanted to stress with our topic about rounding up to the nearest hundred. So you know on this side is the ones, tens, and hundreds, so on the left side of the decimal point. But I want to go to the right side of the decimal point, which is the tenths, hundredths, thousands, so on, so on, and so on. So notice the value of those 1/10, 0.1, 1 over 100, which is 0.01, and 1 over 1,000 equals 0.001. So we're going to be memorizing these place values because we're talking about the hundreds. It's the second number uh, in our table um, after the decimal point. So we need to know that tenths is the first, hundreds is the second, and thousands is the third. So let's go on to a question. Oh, well, here are first the steps that we need to know. We'll go over that real quick because we did this last time. It's the same basic rules of rounding, but this time it's to the nearest hundredth. So the first thing we would do is locate the digit in the hundredth. So once we find that, we're going right next door to the thousands place to see if that digit is going to be 5 or more. If it is, we're going to increase the hundredth, which is the place we want to round, by 1 and discard the numbers after that. If that digit in the thousands place is not greater than 5 or 5, we're going to discard all place values after the hundreds. So let's go to an example and let's look at it. So here's a similar example we did before. This time we're rounding to the nearest hundred. So we have defined our hundreds place. So remember, tenths, hundredths, thousands. There are 3 decimal places in this number. So there are 3 numbers behind the decimal point. So let's find the hundreds. So here's my decimal chart in case you forgot it. So there's the decimal point, tenths, hundreds, and thousands. So we found the hundreds place, that's the 7. So we're going to now go next door to the 7, which is the thousands place. And that number is 8. We're going to ask ourselves the question, is the thousands place 5 or more? This is an 8. Yes, that's more than 5. So we're in good shape now, because now that we know that, we're going to add 1 to the hundredths place. And then we're going to cut off the rest. So that means we won't need the 8 anymore, but we're going to add 1 to the hundredths place. So the hundredths place has a 7 in it, and we're going to add 1 to 7. And 7 plus 1 gives us 8. So the hundredths now has an 8th in it. Notice the thousands number is gone. We don't need that anymore. And we still have our 5.3, and our new number is 8. So the answer is going to be 5.38. So we rounded off our number, which was 5.378, to the nearest hundredth. So that's going to be 5.38. So that's what we're doing today. We're rounding off to the nearest hundredth. So here's an example for you. Round off 9.0199 to the nearest hundredth. I hope you can get it. Remember, find the hundredths place, and I'll give you a little peek. There it is, the second number after the decimal point. Go next door, see if it's 5 or more. If it is, add on 1 to the hundredths place, and you should get your answer. Remember to cut off all that extraneous numbers after the hundredths place. Okay? Here's a balloon game that we can play. We have $2.51. Usually we use ones for pennies, but there's these half pennies here in the thousandths position, whatever that is. So is it closer to $2.51, or is it closer to $2.52? So let's see if I'm going to round this off to the nearest penny. So it's talking about $2.51 versus 52. So I'll go to the hundredths place. That's 51. I'll go next door, see if that's 5 or more, and it is more than 5. I'll add 1 to it, and that'll give me 2 cents. So that would be $2.52. So I'm going to pick B as my choice. And yes, it is choice B. So a little game of rounding off to the nearest penny. So that's what you're really doing. So I hope you understand what's going on. If not, rewind the tape, watch the video again, write down your questions, and you can write me an email, or you can meet me in class whenever we get back there, and we'll find out how to answer your questions. But watch the videotape again. It'll help you out. Here's another question for you. Round 4.321 to the nearest hundredth. So you try that one, then try this one. 82.3509 to the nearest hundredth. Remember, go to the hundredths place, 2 places right after the decimal. That's the pennies. So really, you're rounding off to the nearest penny. So is that going to be 35 cents, or is it going to be 36 cents? So go next door and see if it is greater than 5 or more. If it is, add 1 penny to here. If not, just cut it off and leave it there. So it looks to me like that would be $82.35. So I hope you got that answer. So, but check it out. Here's another one for you. Try this one. Is it closer to $2.51 and a 7? Is that closer to 2.5? Hey, they don't have pennies here. And 2.6. So that you have to figure out, is that $2.05 or is it $2.50? Well, my trick said to put an extra 0 at the end. So I'm going to put a 0 there. And that way I can recognize it a lot easier. So that's $2.50. So it's $2.51 and 7. Let me round that off to the nearest penny. So I would go next door to the pennies place, which is the thousands. See if that's 5 or more. Yes, it is. So I'll add 1 penny to this and get rid of the 7. So that's $2.52. So $2.52, is that closer to $2.50? Or is it closer to $2, and let me put a 0 on the end here, or $2.60? Well, I would say it's closer to $2.50, because that's only 2 cents away, whereas it's 8 cents away from $2.60. So I would vote A. And yes, it is choice A. All right. So I hope you understand what's going on. So please watch the video tape. If you don't, check it out again and write down your questions. Email me. All right. Here's another question for you to round off to the nearest hundred, 7.0707. So try that. Here's another balloon game for you to see. Is this 1.3299? Is that closer to $1.30 or $1.40? There's another one. That's, oh, wait a minute. I thought that was the same one. That's different. $1.32.99. Is that closer to $1.32 or $1.33? Wow, that's different. So I can't wait to hear what the answer is to that. So let me know. So I hope you understand what's going on. Write down your questions. And I think we've come down to the end of our movie. So remember, there's Dial the Teacher Homework Helpline at 212-777-3380, Monday to Thursday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Give them a call. They're good people. You can watch my other YouTube study videos on YouTube. My channel name is Dan Robinson. Subscribe to our channel. Give us a thumbs up. Let us know if you like our videos or what we can do to improve to help you out even more. Check out our latest release, PKMS Math Prep 19. We're working on Math Prep 20. You can tweet me at drobmath1, and I'll be happy to hear from you. If you want to study with me, you can get a worksheet from me if you write me at robinsonmath@aol.com or drobinson@peakskillschools.org, and I'll send you some information for you to study. Math Prep 20 coming out soon. Look for it. So I hope you enjoyed rounding off to the nearest hundredth with Dr. Rob. So write me if you have questions. I'll be glad to answer your questions. Take care.